Okay, so I'm gonna try to make this Kashmiri chai another time. And the very first thing we gonna do here is prepare our ice water. So I've got about a cup of room temperature-ish water. I'm gonna add my largest ice cubes to it. See how many of these it takes, because I really want these in there. Let it chill a little bit. Okay, I'm just gonna let that sit over here for a bit. It'll do its thing, chill out, some ice will melt. That's okay. Alright, we're gonna get the actual tea started. So I'm gonna want about a cup of water. So I get a cup of water. Doesn't seem like a whole lot. Cup of water, and I'm gonna get that going on high heat. I mean, helps if you turn on the right burner. That might make a difference. Okay, and to that I'm going to add in 2 tablespoons of Kashmiri green tea. Just gonna give 2 generous tablespoons here. Get that in. Okay. You might notice I'm not the best at following recipes to the T. I tend to make modifications as I see fit. And we're gonna add in our spices in here. We've got 2 star anise, about 6 to 8 green cardamom, 2 cloves, and a piece of cinnamon. Might have added a wee bit more cinnamon, and my own addition here, I'm throwing in some bay leaf into this as well. And so we're gonna get these guys going. It's my favorite little spatula guy here, silicone spatula. I love this guy. Just give it a little stir. Get that going. It's gonna boil on high heat. Then once this starts to boil, we're actually, and this is where some of the science magic comes in this guy, we're actually going to throw some baking soda in there. We want about 1/8 of a teaspoon of baking soda, up to about maybe a 1/4 teaspoon, and probably no more than that, from the recipe that I am following here. From what I was told, that's about where you want this to dance. Once this gets boiled here, we're going to see some of the magic happening, all the fun stuff. I can already smell all those spices getting together in there. This is going to be great. Okay, yeah. So this starts boiling. That happened pretty quick because it's not a whole lot of water, truthfully, in there. Just gonna let it. So I'm using a ladle here because what we're going to do is a process called aerating. This is green tea. As you notice, it's got this pale greenish brown color, which is about what green tea boils to. The cinnamon and stuff gives it more of a brownish look. Okay, but that's pretty standard for your green tea. I'm gonna grab one of these guys so that I can, manipulate it a bit. So now here's where this gets to be fun. I am going to add about somewhere between 1/8 and a 1/4 teaspoon of baking soda to this, sodium bicarbonate. And that starts to make it fizz like crazy, like that, as baking soda tends to do to things. You notice how it's a little bit of that greenish brown fizz going on in here. And now I'm going to do this aeration thing, which should slowly turn it a lot redder as it gets exposed to oxygen now. Maybe one of my chemist friends can help me explain exactly how baking soda with this plus adding in oxygen now to this mixture changes it from pale green to like a deep red. But you can see the foam starting to change color there a little bit. I should really be picking up more of the liquid than the leaves and spices, but so much of this is now going to get reduced down. I'm going to let this boil for like about 5 minutes or so before I really start to lay in on it with the oxygen. It's gonna really decrease a bit here. Almost all of this is actually going to boil away. And so this is, and you can really smell those spices going here. And so this is what all the work is in this tea. It's standing over this thing and constantly allowing the air to pass through it, or allowing it to pass through the air, which deepens this color and gets it over to this reddish color that you're starting to see. You can see that color got real deep now from that light greenish brown we had earlier. It's turning to a much deeper reddish burgundy-ish color. And you could see that difference in the foam, which was pretty green when I put in the baking soda. But now, as I scoop and pour more of it, having a devil of a time in this pot without picking up too much of the leaves. Seem to be scooping all the leaves as I do this. It's a little different in the other pot, but I like this pot better for this. Makes it easier to pour, and it's deeper, which means I don't spill as much as I pour. Since what you really want to do, you want to scoop and pour from a height, and I want to see this turn a really deep, really rich red. I like the color I'm seeing right now. So as we go, probably maybe in another 2 to 3 minutes or so, we're gonna see this really reduce down. And so that's about the time it takes for the water that's in here to almost completely evaporate away. And we want all of these tea leaves and the spices to really boil down and concentrate so that we extract a good amount of this spicy flavor. You could see it really getting deep now. Look at that color. That's rich. Oh, that's so rich. I like it. I'm hoping I don't get too brown. I want it really red if I can. I want a nice deep red if possible. If it's too brown, you end up with a tea that looks like, nothing special. It's brown. It's like, looks like chocolate. What I want here is a nice pink when all is said and done to get this Kashmiri chai, the noon tea, which is also called pink tea. Now, it certainly isn't noon, although I should probably be drinking this at noon. Last time we made it, caffeine in this thing, I think it kept us up all night. We weren't able to sleep. This is really good in the afternoon, 12 o'clock. Maybe say to the 2-3 o'clock hours, you know, perfect on a work day. You start to get that afternoon lull and you're falling asleep on yourself at the desk. Or, you know, if you work a desk job like I do. A lot of people need that afternoon pick-me-up, and this is the perfect spicy, nutty thing to really get that going. We're starting to see there's not much liquid left in the pot here. The colors, oh, it's so rich, so deep. I love it. So now we've got our ice water that's been sitting over there, and the ice has been chilling, cooling that water. And we're gonna put in a second here, we're gonna add the ice water to this mixture, and that's gonna shock the tea leaves. They go from really hot to really cold immediately, pretty fast, and that'll cause a shock. And something in the chemistry, and I don't know this one too well either, but that'll create a reaction, that rapid temperature change, which shocks the tea leaves, and that's part of what gives us this flavor as well as this color that we're aiming at right now. That makes this tea so special. It's truly a time-consuming process, a lot of work involved. It's probably why not a lot of places like to make it. The traditional way, this actually takes a few hours, I do believe, to make, from what I've read. This is sort of a shortcut method where we're using a lot more tea with a lot less water, as you could tell by how much evaporation we have here, to make sort of a concentrate. Okay, we're almost out of water here. Leaves are starting to stick to the pan, and we've got a nice, really deep red. So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to take my ice water. I've got a strainer on it here because I don't want the ice in there. We don't want ice. I just want the water. Okay, so this has gotten pretty cold. You can see from the frosting on the cup here. I've got a cocktail strainer that I'm using just to keep the ice out. I'm going to add all that ice water back in here. Okay. Now, I'll continue to aerate a little bit as this comes back to a boil. And as it comes back to a boil, I'm going to put our other ingredients in here, which is going to be a salt. I'm going to sweeten this thing. And we'll get our milks and creams in here. Okay. That color's looking good. If you could believe that this is a green tea, but a little sodium bicarbonate. And this I've been told this works with most green teas. Not so much with the really strong, really bitter ones. So this is probably not for use with, like, say, Japanese green tea. Most normal green tea, like your Chinese green teas and such, most of those should work pretty well with this. If you can't find the Kashmiri tea, which would actually be teas from the Kashmir region, which is, I believe that region covers part of both northern India and Pakistan. Not 100% on that, don't quote me. Alright, so this is going to come back to a boil. I'm just going to prepare some of my... I'm going to make this nice and creamy, so I'm going to use both milk and half and half here. So what's going to happen, I'm going to use a 1/4 teaspoon of kosher salt, sort of draw out the flavor on from this. Just going to, so I don't make too much of a mess. That's going to end up in there anyway, using this. Okay, my measuring skills suck, but hey, about a 1/4 teaspoon of salt. See, it's come back to a boil now. I just get that in there. I am going to get About 2.5 tablespoons of brown sugar in here as well. This is one of my favorite, good sweetener for these kinds of spiced flavors. And one of the things that I think gives this a really good flavor, I'm just gonna sort of rinse out this in here. Gives us a really good flavor. I've got my date syrup here. This is really good stuff. Really nice flavor that gives. Really complements something like this really well. I'll put about another 2.5 of these as well. I used a lot less of this the first time I made it, both of the brown sugar and the date syrup, and I found that I needed to put a little bit more to get the flavor I want. Obviously, if you're gonna try this, you do what suits you, how sweet you want it. Date syrup, as it turns out, adds a really nice flavor without being very sweet. And it contains a lot less sugar than something like honey or agave syrup, for example. Well, a lot less calories too, while adding a pretty good flavor. This is oh, okay. And I'm gonna lower this before I boil over. That's me going slow here, is what's causing that. But I'm gonna aerate one more time, and I'm just gonna add my cream, my milk and cream to this. Let it come up to a boil and sort of turn it off immediately is what's gonna happen here. So I'm gonna use about a 1/2 cup of half and half. In here. Oh yeah, we start seeing that nice pink. And I'm gonna use about a cup of milk. So I'm mixing half and half in milk, and that gives it a nice creamy texture. You want it thinner, more milk, less half and half. You want it thicker, more half and half, less cream. If you don't have half and half, you can use heavy cream. Half and half is just heavy cream with milk. You can just use heavy cream and milk and play with those to get your desired creaminess. And it's a little brown, a little deeper in color. Ooh. But I like it. So when I've had this, it was a lot pinker, less brown. Now, I'm sort of allergic to following recipes exactly, so I like to, you know, enhance it a little bit. I'm going to put a little bit of vanilla in here. And my personal secret recipe, secret ingredient in most things I make, this is mixed essence from Grenada. Moses's mixed essence. Truly delicious stuff. This will take your baking to next level. It's actually in a small bottle here. You can't see the label. And I'll put a little bit of anise, not too much, because there is star anise in there already. And Angostura, another thing. This goes in everything I make, virtually. I think it really lifts the flavor of most things you put it in without changing the flavor itself too much. Just give these a stir in, let that come back to a boil, and we're just about done. This is so much deeper than when I made it last time. I would have preferred a little bit pinker, a little bit closer to red than to brown. I don't know if this is, maybe I overdid it with the baking soda, or maybe I've got too much cinnamon type thing in here, contributing to this color. I don't know. Uh-oh. that there is my dinner falling over for reasons unknown to me. I don't want to boil the milk too much. This should be on high heat. Oops. But I don't want to boil the milk too much. So basically, as soon as this comes back to a boil, we're going to stop it. Which is just about right now. This whole thing took approximately 20 minutes-ish to make. Using this method of a little bit more tea, less water, get it sort of concentrated into sort of shortcut. And I forgot the name of the girl who posted this recipe that I'm stealing. I'll find it and credit her. So what I'm going to do is strain it out into my cups, and I actually have, this is left over from the last time I did this. This is a mix of pistachios and almonds that I've ground up here. I'm just gonna, and so have these in my cup here. I did it in a food processor because I'm lazy, but ideally you want these like mortar and pestle crushed. Get them really good. So this, the way I've made it here, makes about 2 cups, 2 mugs, there's abouts. And I'm going to actually just strain her out. We'll see how this comes out. Okay, I love this pot for this reason. It makes it very easy to pour things. Having both a spout and a strainer lid. Ooh. Color is so much richer. I fear I'm gonna make a mess in here in a second, so I'm a little bit worried about my pouring skills. My pouring and straining skills. I feel like I want to press some of this out of the cup, out of the, like, sort of squeeze some of the spices out against the strainer to really get the flavor out of the tea leaves and the spices. I think I'm gonna do that. Scoop some spices into the strainer and like really give them a press. But here I have what is supposed to be pink noon tea. I think I have burgundy noon tea this time. Might have overdid it just a little bit, but this is only my second attempt, so yeah. Second time going at this. I'm gonna sort of press some more of these out before I discard these leaves and spices. And yeah, thank you for following me with this, as I largely have no idea what it is I'm doing, and hopefully I did not mess up this whole recording, but thanks for watching. Like and subscribe.